If you want to walk out of this fucking place, you will listen to people who know. You be an individual, and I'll be tagging your ugly, toothless face straight on its way to a long box with metal handles. Now press your teeth in a rapid vertical motion!
Hi, my name is Wayne and welcome to Too Old for This Shite with my co-host, the wonderful Laura.
Hello.
And this is a podcast where we talk about movies and stuff and getting old.
Emphasis on the stuff.
Yeah, this week we're going to be discussing the rather excellent and quite overlooked Vietnam War movie from 1987, directed by... Oh shit. See, this is the thing about with being old. I instantly forget the name of the director.
And the film. And what it was about.
But yeah, directed by John Irvin, who people might know from such amazing movies as A Ghost Story, Dogs of War, Raw Deal, and a bunch of other
others.
Stuff. And Next of Kin, which is a fucking brilliant Patrick Swayze movie that I don't think that we have to cover at some stage. I seem to remember it being really, really good. So we must definitely look at that. So excuse the rustling while Laura moves a dog's toy out of the dog's way as he's obsessive with it. But yeah, Hamburger Hill, directed by John Irvin, came out 87. I suppose it was a little bit after Platoon and Full Metal Jacket, which were the big hitters for the Vietnam movie in the 80s. There's like a bit of a trend of Nam movies in the 80s.
Yeah, I suppose a lot that were released all kind of at the same time.
Yeah, like there was like the Nam magazine, there was like comics about the Nam, the Action Force.
Comics about the Nam?
Yeah, it was called the Nam.
Oh.
The comic. It was a Marvel comic.
Crikey.
About like the Punisher. They did stuff about like his backstory, where he was like a Vietnam veteran, like Rambo. I suppose Rambo was at the start of the 80s, and that was about a Vietnam vet. But it was a big thing, and then I think, unfortunately, Hamburger Hill kind of got lost in the middle of it all. Hamburger Hill, whereas Platoon is apparently based on like Oliver Stone's real life experience in Vietnam. Whether it is or not, I don't know. I read the book actually before I saw the film when I was a kid. I loved the book.
What are you doing reading Vietnam War books as a child?
But that was the thing. Like when you were in the 80s as a kid, it was like if you're a boy, it was encouraged to be into war. Like I had M16 toys, and so I don't know. There was just something about Nam that it was Vietnam. It was forced. There was a TV show.
MASH.
Called Nam. I think it was called the Nam. I can't remember. The guy that was Spider from Return of the Living Dead was in it. But it was the thing. It was the hype around it. And Hamburger Hill, I think, took a little bit of there was like a bunch of like straight video things as well, which we were going to actually cover some of those. We were debating what we'd cover, and we settled on this one this week. But there's stuff with Dolph Lundgren in it. That's like fucking Universal Soldier. But
there's a lot of Chuck Norris films as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of Chuck Norris films. But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, the plot, Hamburger Hill, would you say it's fair to say it's kind of like documentary style shooting? Pretty
much, I suppose,
where it's kind of like, it's shot from the soldier's point of view, and it's more kind of gritty and realistic. It's less kind of like Hollywood
glamorization almost of it, yeah.
And so it follows a platoon of young men, and like some very young men, and a couple of new people in the platoon in the Aishu Valley.
A couple of veterans as well, who have been there, and they're kind of sick of it. This is their 7th or 8th time there.
But it follows them in, I believe it's the Aishu Valley. I could be wrong with that. I looked at a couple of documentaries about it afterwards, and it's based on an actual real event. What was called one of the bloodiest battles in the Vietnam War. and it's following this platoon of young men they're told that they have to take this hill for a strategic point, and it's like overrun by the Viet Cong army, or I can't, maybe the Northern Army. Like, I'm not up on the whole history of it. If you had to ask me when I was 10,
you probably would have given a better account.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's like this wasn't the way it was portrayed, and like the way it was portrayed in Platoon, and that was like nearly like these villagers that were like fighting against the thing. Whereas like why America struggled so much with it, why it was so tough out there, was like it wasn't just that this is like a well-disciplined military force. It was like a big military force that were heavily armed and knew the territory. So the platoon are sent in to take this hill, which is occupied by the Vietnamese army, and it turns what was planned, or what they thought would be like a one-day thing, turns into like nearly a 2-week-long operation where like dozens of people, maybe hundreds, died. Well, it would have been hundreds, I suppose, between both armies, and it's just like a grueling war. And the whole point of these wars, from what I can make out from looking at the documentaries of not the wars, but like these battles, was that they thought that there was some operational value in holding these hills, because these hills were being held, like, you know, by the Vietnamese. So some of the generals decided to do this, but like, as found out in it was a pointless waste of life. There was no strategic value in holding these at all. Even I think 2 or 3 days after they take Hamburger Hill and all the people that died, they decided to just let it go. And they left it off, and it was just retaken, like similar to kind of what happened in Iraq and what happened in Afghanistan. What
happens in every bloody war, really.
It's like just a waste of life, complete and utter waste of life. And that's, I suppose, the thing about Hamburger Hill is, well, it's making a statement about war. It's very clearly making a statement about war. And
from multiple angles as well, actually. It's making a statement on race, on I suppose futility of it, on different roles that get assigned to people as well, because obviously they've got the press coming in as well covering it, and you know, sort of, you know, the grunts that are out there versus the sort of the higher ups and the different kind of operational kind of forces. It kind
of covers what was going on at the time as well, in a very gentle way, as in kind of like it's not heavy handed, where you learn. It's nearly like, it reminds me of Dark Souls, or it's emergent storytelling. There's some stuff in it that you don't actually know unless you go looking it up. So when the film starts off, it starts off with like the soldiers, they're basically occupying a village with Vietnamese people, and there's like different troops there from Vietnam and stuff, and there's different people in different uniforms. They never get into it. You're never told explicitly what's going on. If you read up about it, you find out about that this whole different nuance of like different people from Vietnam that were like fighting with the Americans, that they were actually occupying villages, that they were living side by side. You know, that there is a lot more going on than, say, what you see in the likes of Platoon, where it just shows like them going in, burning down villages and... You know,
it's very, it's not very heavy-handed and like one side good and other side bad kind of a thing.
And it's what you kind of learn about what's going on back home from letters or tapes that they get, or by talking to other people that went back home on sick leave. And there is the whole thing. I suppose one of the common themes throughout it is that like that all these college students at the time in the 60s were out protesting against the war. And when the soldiers were coming back, they thought that they were going back heroes, because most of the soldiers that were there were drafted. They were there against their will.
Yeah, they were not there by choice, and they were not sort of, let's join the great fight kind of thing.
It was working class people, children, that were drafted into a war.
People who couldn't afford to go to college a lot of the time to escape the draft.
And then they had people that were more privileged, were shitting all over them, saying that these were the bad people, that they were the bad people, and they came back and they were like I think it was Rambo, I got no parade, I came home and I got spit on. And where that's like nearly corny in the Rambo, that was like very much the truth. that like these people, like there was one guy, he got a letter from his girlfriend where she like started going to college, and she broke up with him because she was saying her friends were after telling her that it was immoral that she was going out with someone in the...
she wasn't going to continue to write to them and, you know, stay going with them and all the rest because, you know, he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he was just like, well, fuck, like, here I am out in the filth and out in this horrible place getting shot at all the time, and my girlfriend sitting back home in the college is like, there goes my one hope that I was like looking forward to every day, getting my letters to my girlfriend. I don't even have that anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that they cover as well with the race thing, that there was one of the main characters in it, Doc, who I'm just going to look up and see who he's played, because I know it's not an actor that I'm very familiar with, but he's like, I think, one of the standout. Courtney B. Vance. Oh yeah, I do know, yeah. But he's like one of the standout characters that you kind of follow throughout, and he's like the doctor in the area, but he keeps having and it's like there's a couple of black guys that are there, and it's almost like they're segregated from the other soldiers. They kind of keep to themselves, but still when like they're out on patrol, they
of course they're
go
one,
off and
the
do
one
things,
team, like,
and they have a little thing that they say amongst them, because like Doc keeps getting like really badly affected by having to deal with these men that he gets to know and love, kind of like watching them getting killed,
maimed, and, you know, blown up and hurt and killed, you know. And
he's the one that's left picking up pieces. And there is a scene at the start, which I think is amazing, which I've never seen in another war film, where you, like, say Full Metal Jacket, that they show the train and stuff, and it's all very much like gung ho and all this. Whereas like when the new troops come in, they have, I think it's one of the first scenes it's not one of the first scenes in the film, but one of the first scenes with the new recruits, where Doc is there talking to him about the importance of brushing their teeth, and he goes through the whole drill with them about how to brush their teeth, because he's like, fucking, like, there's so many different diseases over here that we are not used to. You need to have good hygiene, keep your fucking feet dry, do this or that, or you're going to get sick and you're going to die. I'm sick of fucking watching people like you die because you're not following basic hygiene things. And it's really because it's brilliant. It gets that nearly, not the mundanity, but you know, just kind of like these things where it's not like, it doesn't have to be all hero level shit. It's like, look, this is practical.
The reality, that's the thing, the realities of war. It's like, sometimes it's not even like, oh, the bravado of like leading the charge that gets you shot and killed. It's actually some horrible, like, kind of almost tropical disease that will see you like taken down, you know. And it's just, you know, there's nothing you can do. It's the actual environment itself, let alone what you're doing, that will end up sort of working against you, you know.
It's well one of the things I think they do really well, that they show, like, it's for the time it would have been an unknown cast. And one of the main characters is Dylan McDermott, who's gone on to being in a lot of the American Horror Story things. Stephen Weber, who was in Wings. They're like the two, I suppose, senior officers in it, and all these other recruits that are coming in, who are probably like a year or 2 years younger than them, are like looking up to these guys as if, because they've survived a while. So it's like, you listen to what they're if you don't listen to, and the ones that don't listen, they end up getting killed with it. And it's like, you get to see the impact of the weight of all that on, like, what are fucking essentially children. They
are, like, I mean, you think about it, you look at any like 18-year-old nowadays, you know, you look at them and you do genuine, not to put down, this is generally not like, oh, they're all children and babies, I'm not saying that disparagingly,
it's
but
when you're older, you
look back and you kind of go, my God, they're just out of school, and you're sending off these people who should be just starting to enjoy their first steps into adult life, and you're basically handing them a gun and going, here you go, fuck off to a country you've never been to in your entire life, wade through, you know, sort of forests and, you know, all these horrendous sort of environments you've never been before, live without sort of all your creature comforts, and go off and shoot men, you know. It's like, you're not prepared for that. No one's prepared for that.
No one's prepared, and it's it covers it really well in this. I think it shows like the thing where a lot of them, they get into the thing and they can't actually shoot. Well, like, they can shoot the gun, but they can't actually shoot it. They're terrified. This is what, like, the film just fucking starts with a bang. It goes into the middle of like an operation where they're under fire in the jungle. People are dying left, right, and centre. It's really confusing. It's really loud. You can't hear what people are saying, and it gives that whole sensory overload of what it'd be like to be in a situation
in the middle
like
of all that. Yeah.
Which I think does that an awful lot better than some of the other films. Like I do like Full Metal Jacket, one of my favourite films of all time. It's shot gorgeously, but it is shot like not from a realistic point of view.
Yeah, there's a bit of a nice, as you said, a Hollywood sheen to it, kind of a thing.
I mean, the sound is played, like, I mean, it'll have a music playing over thing. It's the same with Platoon, which I love Platoon as well. But in this, you can hear the squelch of the mud as you're getting your boot stuck in it. You know what I mean? It's that kind of a visceral kind of, and sort of the sensory overload. As I said, you're hearing all the gunfire going off, and you can't actually hear where it's coming from. Your teammates, your platoon mates, I suppose, are shouting at you, but you can't hear what they're saying. And it doesn't show these heroes. It's kind of like, well, like, I mean, not saying that the men weren't heroes, but it's not like this fucking unrealistic.
Yeah, these cool guys just like smoking a cigarette, like, kind of like shooting all the
with bullets firing around them, and like they could come off unscratched. Like, there's a couple of bits in it where I suppose near the end of the film where they're going up the hill, where it starts playing heroic music, and it's like it might have a guy who's like, I'm sick of this shit. He's like, and he starts running up the hill, and because of the music, it manipulates what your expectations are.
And stuff, yeah.
So you think, all right, he's going to like go up the top and fucking shoot all these people. Then like his fucking skull gets blown off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they do it again later on where it's someone otherwise like heroic music runs up dead, and you're just like, fuck. Like, so many characters, you get to know like the men throughout the film, and it's done very well and very organically.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, let's all sit down around the campfire now and let's all start to, where are you from there? And you tell me all about you. And I've got a girlfriend back home. Your stereotypical kind of like getting to know the platoon kind of thing. It's true, they're minor little interactions with each other. You kind of get to know, and they're throwaway little bits of dialogue, and you kind of get to know the people that way, how they flare up when they sort of interact with each other. The little bits where they start to get a little bit more frustrated as the days wear on, as it gets harder, as it gets, they're sitting in the same wet clothes for like days on end.
It's fucking
everything
miserable.
Just gets like, worse and worse and
like,
worse.
I mean, when they go to the village at the start, kind of back to their base, like there is a lot of smoke all over the place nearly the whole time. It's either smoky or rainy. Yeah. And it just feels like it's a form of purgatory. Better than I've seen in other war films, where it's just like, you're like, this is fucking hell. You can feel the heat, you can feel
there's
the rain.
There's a lot of that dialogue as well. They all talk about like, what are you going to do when you go back in the world? Yeah. And it's like they're apart from the world. This is, and it's kind of like, it's some sort of like an alternate, as you said, a purgatory.
And there's like always someone that bursts the bubble, where you have people going, oh, when I get back, I'm going to be, like some of the black guys are talking, saying, I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be doing that. And someone goes, look, I've just come from there. They don't like us. They don't want us. You're not going to be able to walk down the street in your uniform because they'll fucking kill you. And they can't, they're like, that's bullshit. That's, they can't wrap their head around.
Yeah, they think like maybe it's their ticket to sort of like a better life back home. Like, oh, I'm finally, here's me, a black guy. I'm going to be treated with a little bit of respect because I went abroad and I fought for my country. And they're like, I went back home, I'm black the same as you. And like, I don't get treated any better. Yeah. They treat me worse, actually.
That's the thing I was meant to say earlier, where I think they deal with the whole race thing because like the black contingent that are in it, they, like Doc, I was saying it and I got fucking sidetracked. He started, he constantly brings up saying, I'm here because I'm black. And then one of them turns around and goes, I'm not fucking here by choice. It's not a race thing. It's a fucking class thing. We're all in the same boat. Like, there is no difference
we're all
between
working
us.
Class,
like,
we're all the poorer segment of society. Like,
we're getting picked on as well. Just because they're Italian or they're Irish doesn't mean that they're favoured any better than an African American. With that, like, I mean, obviously there was like all the civil rights movement was going on at that time as well and stuff. So there was like,
oh, of course, there's layers upon layers upon layers.
The statement that they're trying to make in this was that, like, when people are drafted to war, it's not like the people that are picking these people, they don't fucking care. Yeah, they don't care who's going out to die. That's really, with it. But Yeah, what did you think of the film, actually? Yeah, after that.
Yeah, it's Jesus. It's a very depressing film. But it's one of these films that's like super relentless as well. Once it kind of gets going, it's just like this slog of like, oh my god, they're going again, and it's like they keep trying to tell their superiors like, oh my god, what is the point of this? Can you please send us rations? Can you please send us this? Can you please do that? And they keep sending helicopters, never when they're asked or never on time. And like every now and again they come in and they fuck up everything. They come in and they're like, oh, we'll start shooting and we lay down some fire. And they end up shooting their own guys. And it's like, it's just, you're there watching it and you're like,
that really happened as well.
It's like the futility of it. You're kind of going, fuck's sake. It's like all these guys are getting killed for nothing, for no reason. Like, it's
one of the historically as well at the end of it, near the end of it, there is a comment made by a reporter to when they're coming down the hill, going about Senator Kennedy is saying something about kind of like, how pointless all this is, and your man loses because you're bound to. Why are all your friends dying and you're fucking putting your life if it's all pointless?
Yeah.
But in the real life thing was Senator Kennedy did bring it up. He was like, I think it was one of the Kennedys. Was saying this is fucking unacceptable. We can't have our troops in these conditions dying like that for no reason. This war has been run badly, which I think is what probably historically the focus should have been on.
Yeah,
not the soldiers. Like people blaming the soldiers for it for some reason, but
yeah, they're just doing it.
It's yeah, like they should have been like, why are all these generals doing it? Like they're sending young men to their deaths for little to no reason. It just seemed like it was a lot of incompetence with things. It just all fucking chaos, like say top level stuff. But one of the things that happened because of Hamburger Hill and because it became a highlight, some people say that it was like a catalyst for the end of the Vietnam War. Like it took years for it to happen, but it was so bloody and things that like things started changing where people started taking notice.
Yeah, and started questioning the way things are done.
And become a bit more aware of it.
Well, like the whole, like, I think the thing that like impressed me the most was it did, like, especially sort of towards the end, I suppose the last fucking 20 minutes or so, or even longer, it started like the elements started turning against him. It was just rain.
And that really happened.
Endless
too,
rain. And this fucking hill is steep. Yeah. So like at the end, it wasn't just a battle about like getting shot or trying to like kill the other side or anything like that. It turned into, the whole hill just turned into this churning nightmare landscape where it's just like this rolling coils of mud. And they were trying to, like, it was just trying to climb up using your bare hands, it's and like you're slithering back down.
That punishment for, I can't remember where it was.
Was like, it Sisyphus rolling?
Rolling the boulder up the hill and just
kept on rolling back down, because like they managed to slither their way up like 10 foot and then they just like slide 15 foot back down, and it's just like, you're watching it and you're just like, oh my god,
it was close to a dozen times they almost got to the top of the hill over all the time, and then just they got beaten back down from it. And it just looked like, I mean, the guys doing, even like, obviously real life was far worse, but like the guys doing the acting,
like we even commented on her, like, that looks so miserable, like, exhausting. And if it's that miserable when you're acting it, imagine if you're out there for real.
And like, imagine all the takes that they would have had to do as well with that, where they're like, and it was like, you can't defend yourself on that. You're like you're slithering
down a hill, like you're totally vulnerable hill, you know, somebody's at the top of the hill shooting down you or throwing a fucking grenade or whatever, you're just totally vulnerable. You're like a little turtle exposed, you know?
It's just like, it was fucking they were just cannon fodder for no reason,
exactly. Like, and like that was the thing, the deaths were so harrowing as well. It was like you're all these people that you had gotten to know, and like you were seeing, you know, and it was probably very close to what I imagine.
They're gory and they're fairly realistic, like,
you know. People were getting sort of like the shock of their arm getting blown off and not realising it for like a minute after it happened, and then all of a sudden looking down and there's like a stump where their arm was and they're bleeding out and they're, you know, going into shock, and people are trying to help them and all the rest. And it's the environment where there's muck and there's water,
like people dying from bullet wounds, and not necessarily dying from the wounds, but dying from toxic shock or infections like hours late or days, you know, that there was a lot of losing limbs as well from bullet wounds, like, because like a lot of times in films they show like someone gets shot with a bullet and the bullet passes clean through them.
Yeah, and it's just like, ow, and I'll just wrap it up and I'll be fine.
Like can bounce around inside your fucking body, or as well they can leave bits and pieces in it, like, and like that with them climbing up a shitty fucking mucky hill. There's
you
all
can imagine
sorts
what sorts
like
getting into
people, like the guys that were living at the top of the hill, they were obviously pissing and shitting fucking down, and you know that. So you got a lot of different crap going on,
literally,
like there, you know, and it kind of, and it doesn't like get into it. It doesn't like there's a lot of visual, a storytelling with it.
Yeah.
With all that, where you just see those like that with you don't need someone to go, oh, you know, this is really difficult.
Yeah, it's like no shit, it looks fucking difficult.
Whereas like in a lot of modern movies you would have that, where if it was fucking Stranger Things, they'd have like a sidebar, a
short explainer every 5 minutes. Going,
oh, you know, the water when I go.
Yeah, it's like, my socks are very wet here. I better open my boots and see how like destroyed my feet are. But like it's absolutely, it's grueling watching it. And as I said, the actors must have had a miserable time doing it, but they get to dry off at the end of the day. That's like, imagine just being there for like however long it took those guys, and there's no let up. You're sitting there in your wet, muddy, filthy fucking gear, and then
when they took the hill, they were like on to the next one, so there's no break. It's like you're after fighting horrific battle, watching all your friends dying around you, and then it's just like,
pick yourself up, off you go. That's it. Keep going. It's just horrendous. And like that as well, like one of the sort of the very poignant moments, I suppose, that I kind of referred to earlier as well, was there was the press contingent. The army always had like sort of your press photographer and your interviewer who was like, oh, let's bring the news from the troops back home, kind of a thing.
I'm not sure, but I think the director might have done that. He might have been like one of the press guys, or like, you know, for the army at the time. Like.
And like, obviously, I mean, the press guys are actually probably doing a very important job as well, insofar as they're bringing the news of all this shit back out so that people could see. Like, I mean, some of our knowledge of this, like, I mean, Oliver Stone and all the rest, that's somewhere a lot of our knowledge comes from.
Yeah, there was a lot of footage of stuff as well that like captured. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff for World War II, but I think that would have been shown in cinemas, and like it probably would have been heavily edited, obviously. So I think a lot of things are probably documentaries from the last 20 years.
Films,
whereas like Vietnam is probably the first modern,
proper documented kind of war and all the rest. So I mean, they're out there, they're doing their things, but like, you know, there are these kind of guys are coming from, like, I suppose, base camp, as you will, and they're coming up and they're lovely and clean just after having a cup of tea and coming up, and they're basically like, so how was it, kind of a thing, and the guys are kind of like, you fuck off out of my face, a bit with you think you're in the army, you're not in the fucking army, come fight with us. The main
character in it, where he was like, you haven't earned the right to be here. And it's like a lot of them, a couple of days into it, they started getting obsessed where it was like, we have to take this. We have to take, you know, where it was like, that was like, I mean, they weren't sleeping, they weren't eating right, you know, it was fucking just, and like keep saying like the constant watching people dying, and I suppose like getting into the actual movie with it, like the cinematography like we're saying, it's like documentary style, so it's not pretty, but it is pretty. I think it captures like a fair depiction. I've never been to Vietnam, but like a fair depiction of like how beautiful Vietnam is, where you do have these beautiful shots of the countryside, but it's like the smoke and the destruction
when the battles are going on,
the mess. Well, even when the battles aren't going on, there seems to be constant like smoke. Like it's things burning, or there's after being something happening, and like,
well,
you know,
and as well they have the sort of, they do put forward the other side as well, again the juxtaposition of when they're in the village, they're down, you know, sort of the guys are down and they're having the little swim in the river, and they have like sort of the local women are down washing the clothes, and the kids are sort of, you know, playing with the soldiers and all the rest, and you're kind of looking at it all and you're kind of going, why are these people over killing, you know, it's like, what the fuck is, you know, war, what is it good for? You know, it is a bit ridiculous kind of.
Like that at the start of it, with that scene with the village where it's like all peaceful and they're all getting on, and
that's what
like,
I mean.
And then like, all of a sudden they get attacked. And like one of the things that they zoom in on is like a child crying over its dead mother. Where you're like, look, this everyone is a victim of war.
This
like,
is
fucking, it's horrible, but it's just shot so well. I think it's like, say, like obviously Full Metal Jacket, fucking Stanley Kubrick, it's going to be shot like to the best, but like this, I think there's a rawness to it that the other films don't have, which kind of make you feel more, I think, where it takes you out of the whole thing that you're looking at a movie at points where you're just like, okay. And even some of the conversations with the way that it's shot and edited, you nearly feel like you're one of the people
in the conversation,
sitting there,
yeah.
And the conversations are so normal, they're not like over the top.
Yeah, they're not big exposition pieces. It's not like, oh, how can we move the plot along? It's just guys sitting kind of talking about things like guys do, like, you know what I mean? It's not like these big set pieces and these big huge like Shakespeare
and they're not
monologues.
like fucking macho fucking knobheads. Like, I mean, a lot of the times, like even in Full Metal Jacket they have it where I think it's like Machine or something, I can't remember his name at the end, but there's always one or two guys that are like just animals and that are like, oh, these are like perfect killing machines. You don't have that in this because that's probably not the reality of.
And that's it. And the only flare-ups you see amongst themselves is like every now and again you get people are just at the end of their tether and somebody explodes over being called a nickname he doesn't like being called or something like that. You know, it's like, you know, the whole alphabet thing, you know.
Oh yeah, the poor guy, like that no one can ever remember his name because he's just a newbie and they're like,
he's got a slightly difficult to pronounce name, an Italian name, so they're just like, oh, just call him alphabet. But he's like, my name is, remember my name.
Lasts 2 weeks and he's dead, and they say when he dies they can't remember his fucking name.
Yeah, they're still kind of referring to him as alphabet, you know. And it's so tragic, like, you know. And like that's his dying wish is like, remember me, please remember me, like don't forget me, you know.
They're like, you weren't around long enough, and we, you know, it's just, but like saying that, like with the cinematography and the editing, it doesn't get the credit it deserves for it. I think it is fantastic. There was oh god, what was it? There was a film, or maybe it was Battle of Los Angeles, years like with Aaron Eckhart in it.
All right, yeah.
Where they were fighting like against aliens, and there was a big deal made out of the way that was shot at the time because they were like, oh, it's done in this documentary kind of stuff, like Saving Private Ryan, whereas like this predates all of those. The editing is done very well as well, where it can sometimes just go from like people talking straight into a battle and then cuts seamlessly to something happening in the outside world, and or it goes to like someone giving like nearly a monologue around people, like the Stephen Weber's character in it, like who's like, I think, I don't know like the roles in the army, but the lieutenant, sergeant, he's one of the top guys in it. They're like, you left and you came back, why did you come back? And he was like, oh well, I went home, and like when they tell you that there's like free love there, well there's free love for everyone other than the soldiers. He went home to his wife. She was after hooking up with a hippie. He went down to like the pub to get away from it, and there was a guy in there mourning the death of his son who died in Vietnam, and like people were all like ringing him up and saying, oh, your son deserved to die, he was a fucking piece of shit, like this and that, he shouldn't have been out there in the first place. It's like, he was drafted, you know. And it's like you had all these hit, you know, and it's just, he was like, that's why I came back. I can't, you know.
Yeah, I can't exist back in the world as such, like,
Which happens to some soldiers where it's like they get back, and some people they find it hard to acclimatise to normal life after the army, and especially after like Vietnam, like situations like Vietnam or Afghanistan or Iraq, where people are being re-traumatized.
Well, that's it. And like, I mean, you're going home and you're trying to like integrate into society, and like you're being villainized for something that like you weren't the one who decided to do it. You're not the one that was out there like fucking brilliant, I'm off to do this. Whereas
like most of these men should have been given therapy and should have been like helped.
Yeah, like I mean, the PTSD must have been ridiculous.
Like heroes that they were, like I mean, like whatever about like the reason behind the war and all that I'm not getting into the politics of it, I'm getting into like the actual the individuals with it, and it's just, it's all about that's nature war. It's like poor men's children, poor people's children get sent off to fight fucking rich men's wars, and they don't give a fuck about you,
exactly.
You know. And that's like what this film is like. I mean, going to say quickly about mise en scene, which I think we kind of talked about with the scenery.
Yes.
Because it was shot in the Philippines, but it did pass for Vietnam.
Yes, well, you see, I'm not overly familiar with Vietnam, so I'm just kind of
neither am I.
It looks quite hot. And
but I suppose the whole thing is there was very limited kind of shots of it. You know what I mean? Because it was like a lot of the film was in jungles or in the hill, and it still just captured that hot, wet,
humid, boiling, and it was just, and that's, I suppose, the kind of the. We have watched it here in Ireland and probably in most of Europe as well. We have had what feels like fucking 40 days and nights of rain.
There were some places that actually had 40 days and nights.
So we were watching this, and it was like, it just seemed like constant rain, and we were kind of like, makes me feel a small bit better about how rainy it is here, because like at least you're not climbing through fucking acres of mud up a hill. It's like, okay, I'm indoors, stop complaining so much about the rain.
Well, I think the attention to detail with some of the stuff, I think they did it probably better in like something like Platoon, but I would imagine that probably had a bigger budget, and definitely where they had like say the Budweiser cans and all certain things from the era. And the performances of like people in it as well.
Oh God! Like, I mean, they're relatively like they must be. Well, I won't say they're unknowns. I'm sure they've gone on to do other bigger things.
Well, like Don Cheadle is one of the people that plays
but like they would have been sort of relatively unknown at that time.
Yeah,
like,
Dylan McDermott, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, they all play blinders like in this.
And the guy who played Doc as well, he was amazing. Nearly all of the cast. Now, I was looking back at old reviews of it, like when it came out, and it wasn't met too well, and there was like a lot of people saying, these amateur like me, the acting is terrible in it, and it's like, alright, you don't have Charlie Sheen or William Dafoe, Tom Berenger in it, but sometimes I think that works better, because like even the film doesn't there's no cast call at the start of the film, so you don't know who's in it. I think that was done deliberately, obviously, where it's like, these are like unknown soldiers, unknown actors. You're not meant to know who they are going into it, so you form an attachment. Yeah, because it's only at the end that they actually show the cast of actors and things. But I think really, really strong performances in it. I think it's a crying shame that it didn't get more recognition for the acting, and I'm so sorry, I keep forgetting the guy who played Courtney B. Vance. He's amazing as Doc in it. Like, he just captures the whole fucking how traumatized the guy is, and it's a fucking standout performance. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
And there's that scene where there's like people that they know, one of his good friends is after getting killed, and they're all sitting around afterwards, and one of the rookies kind of say, like, did we do well, Sarge? Like, I think I might have killed a couple of people. And he's like, I don't give a fuck, like, some of my men died. And then Doc fucking has a big breakdown, but then his friends kind of pull him aside and they start saying the thing that they always say, where it's like, it ain't no thing, or something like that, it don't mean nothing, it means nothing. And then he gets into where like, they're trying to that's how they're getting through it. It's by like acting like none of this really matters. But he's just fucking amazing. Brilliant character in it. I think you get more emotional credibility from his character than you do, like, say, Charlie Sheen's character in Platoon, or William Dafoe, and definitely more so than Joker, even, I think, in Full Metal Jacket, where you do get to see the different and as well with Stephen Webber's character, where at the start we're in the whorehouse, and they're in the bath, and I think one of the prostitutes says something like, or sex workers or whatever they're called now, says something along the lines. I love
the way you corrected yourself. So you're like, prostitutes are sex workers, or whatever they're calling themselves now. How enlightened are you?
But turns around and says something like, "Oh, your war," and he fucking freaks out, and like his friend has to calm down. Yeah, it's not my war, and you can see the trauma and the like the active PTSD with him. And it's just, it's all so those little things
nuanced,
that where it's just it's like fucking chef's kiss to it, and like iconic moments with the movie. I think the most iconic moment is like the last half hour.
It's just the endless fucking squelching up that hill, and it's literally they are on their bellies like worms trying to slither up the hill and just not able to get any purchase whatsoever. And it's like fucking, It's like a fucking ploughing match by the end of it, basically. It's just
it's truly horrifying.
They're just like squirming up and fucking sliding back down, and you can see the frustration. It's like fucking quicksand at the end of it. They just can't pull themselves up the hill. It's just so miserable.
It's just so pointless because it is just like there's points where they don't even have their guns that are climbing up.
Yeah,
it's like,
they're just still trying to slide up the hill.
Yeah, and they're just it's fucking harrowing. Like it really, really is. And the way that they do it all, with the way that it's edited, where it's like day 1 and then like day 2, and then it skips to like say day 8.
Yeah, and you're just like,
and
holy
they're still
fuck.
there, like you know, and then like the last push when they finally get it, that go probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And you have like the airplanes overhead, like fucking dropping napalm on the top of the hill, and then when the airplanes are coming along, the fellas at the top of the hill go into the hill, so the napalm doesn't fucking hit them. Then they come back out and they start killing the people, you know. And then when it's all over, they're just left there staring down at like just fucking like dozens of their friends dead in the mud. Yeah,
bleeding into the mud, just bodies. Yeah,
it's like
it's horrendous.
It should go down as one of the greatest
war
sequences
kind of scenes. Yeah,
probably one. Like, I mean, obviously we haven't been in a war, but like it seems more realistic than a lot of movies.
It's almost as visceral as the whole kind of opening of Saving Private Ryan, you know, kind of budget to budget. Obviously, Saving Private Ryan had the big budget, so they had the spectacular opening, the D-Day landings where they opened, you know, started at the front of the ships, the boats, and it was just like fucking, you know, decimation kind of a thing. Just fucking everyone got killed. It was horrendous. It had that kind of same effect on what I'm assuming is a much smaller budget. Like, you know, it was just all this noise and cacophony and people getting killed and like fucking dirt and horrible mud and fucking weather, and you know, it was just an overload of the senses, I think. Like, you know, it kind of gave you this whole kind of visceral feeling of being there.
It goes by really quick as well. Watching it goes by so fast. You know, and nearly, I don't know, there's points that you'd wish you'd go fast, but not because it's
you're just actually wishing for them to actually succeed nearly. You're just like, oh my god, these poor guys.
You know what's going to happen in it. Like, it's, and especially when you know it's based on a like, I mean, the film starts off with the usual crawl kind of a thing. It's, oh god, I don't know, that it's one of the monuments over the mirror has the names of all the people that died in Vietnam, the soldiers, and it's like going past it, and it's just showing, I suppose, the amount of people that died with it, where it's like, you know, it's very clear that it's like an anti-war movie, but it's not. The soldiers are bad, the people in it are bad. It doesn't even say the Vietnamese, you know, it's not like, whereas in other things it's like, oh, this is the enemy, and you know, where this, it's like everyone just is caught in this fucking horrible pointless situation, and it's just a pointless way. You don't really get to see the Vietnamese soldiers' faces until the last push. Like, there's a couple of skirmishes in the jungle and stuff like that, and they're always in shadow or they're just out of sight, and then it's only when they get to the top they get face to face and they have to fight hand to hand, killing each other hand to hand, and it's just, you get to see that they're as traumatized, they're as desperate as and it's
they're
like
just young men too as well. They're defending their country and they're doing what they think is right.
Everyone is just in the same shitty fucking situation, and it is just like, I mean, I think the older that you get as well, the less point you see kind of, and like what's going on in the world at the moment, or like over in Ukraine and
everywhere.
It's just like, what is the fucking point? Like, you know what, Putin is sitting back just like, he don't care about killing off his own fucking people, and all these poor fuckers in the Ukraine getting killed,
it's
trying to defend their homes.
Cannon fodder.
Like, it's just like, it's so pointless. Like life is too short for it to be wasted on nothing, you know. But
that's a very depressing note to end things on. Yes, the world is a bit depressing at the moment, isn't it?
Well, it's not a hopeful movie.
No,
it ain't a hopeful movie. Well, it is just, I suppose it's a good depiction of the reality,
the horrors of war,
of what happened, and like the people that were in it, and the timeline. Like, it's a very good, I think, shot of that period in history, without getting into it, like, say, Born on the 4th of July. Or fucking Platoon, even to a certain extent. Soundtrack is great to it as well, which we didn't really get into. But like rewatchability factor, easily watch it again.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in fucking decades, I'd say, and I'm kind of like, I regret that I haven't.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, shit, I was really missing out, because I'm looking Full Metal Jacket every now and again, and it's like, this is going to be, I think, on that list of movies where it's like, oh yeah. And I think you probably find something different in it every time you look at it as well. It kind of has that vibe.
Something else will hit a bit harder. Yeah.
And it's just a really good classic movie. There's very little on YouTube about it, or very few podcasts I've seen about when I was like looking around for it. There are some historical documentaries, like short documentaries on YouTube, which if you've listened to this and you've liked it, or if you like the film, or if it kind of like makes you want to go back and look at it, definitely have a look at it, because like the historical context is really, really fucking... There's a lot similar to what's going on today, I think, with America when you look at it, and there was an awful lot going on in the world at the time where you obviously we weren't alive at that stage, but like that the film barely gets into, but other bits and pieces that you go, oh my god, that was like just a throwaway thing in them. That's what they meant, that's what it was aimed, where it's just, I think it's a masterpiece, a real forgotten.
You see, I think it actually suffered a little bit because of the title, because I think Hamburger Hill, I don't know, to me it just has these kind of connotations like, oh, it's going to be a wacky sort of a training adventure kind of a thing.
I'd say as well, it was just with the sheer volume of Vietnam films that were coming out, and as well when it didn't have a big cast like Platoon, and probably people were probably a bit burned out by it at that stage. Like, I'd imagine coming near the end of the 80s, like, I can't remember too many war films like the end of the 80s.
Oh, yeah, it goes in cycles, because obviously you had your lot of them there, and people are like, right, we're moving on to the next thing now, I suppose. Vietnam films had sort of had their heyday. I hate saying heyday for something like that, but you know what I mean. And I think they were they had run their course at that stage, so they had a couple of big hitters, and then they were moving on to, I don't know, whatever the next thing was.
It was going into the 90s, so I suppose they have more, like... probably more the fucking say Arnie, Sylvester Stallone, blockbuster action films that people were interested in, and Terminator and films like that. Well, Terminator 2 films like that coming up. But like I keep saying, fucking
pretty awesome.
Yeah. So look, if you've listened this far, thank you very much. For listening. Hope you enjoyed us talking about it. If you haven't looked at Hamburger Hill in a while, go back and rewatch it.
And don't do like I do. I've got a terrible song stuck in my head for the last week since you watch it. It's like, I got my thrill on Hamburger Hill. And I just can't get it out of my head, and like it seems so disrespectful as well, but I just walking around humming that tune, so it's very annoying.
People here, what you know about the now? We're back in the world. But look, thanks very much for listening, and until next week.